So I wanted to say just a few more things about the epidermis. Again, this outer layer, about 20 to 30 cell layers thick, composed of dead keratinocytes and the glycolipids and keratin. This provides protection against abrasion for our skin. It provides a nice barrier. These dead cells are constantly being sloughed off, and that's just because this is like, again, like that big conveyor belt of cells. We go from the young guys to the old dead guys, and they are constantly falling off. We lose about 50,000 cells per day, dead keratinocytes per day. Over the course of our lifetime, I think we're going to lose about 40 pounds of these cells. And this is what dust mites love to eat. You know, I mean, it's dead tissue, but it still contains proteins and nutrients, so they keeps them happy. And after you take a bath, like people don't really take baths anymore, but if you take a bath, that film around the side of the bathtub, some of it's soap, but a lot of it's these dead, sloughed off cells. So that's kind of in a nutshell the epidermis. One thing I did forget to mention is that within the stratum spinosum and stratum granulosum, mainly in the stratum spinosum, we'll have another type of cell. I'll draw these guys in blue. These guys are dendritic cells. So these are kind of, you know, cells that have little projections, little kind of like that. And these dendritic cells, they're part of our immune system. And they travel through this thick network of keratinocytes within the stratum spinosum and granulosum, looking for foreign particles, antigens that shouldn't be there. And if they find bacteria or something, they'll engulf it through phagocytosis and then take it, present it to some of our T cells and B cells to see if the immune system needs to do anything about them. So it's pretty crazy that we have these cells that are just on patrol throughout the deeper layers of our epidermis, looking for guys that shouldn't be there. If it finds somebody, it'll engulf it and take it to a center of the immune system, most likely in the lymph node, where it'll figure out whether or not we need to do something about it. All right, so that's enough about the epidermis. Let's talk about the dermis. The dermis is deep, obviously, to the epidermis, and it consists of two layers. The first layer of the dermis is called the papillary layer. It's a little bit thinner than the other layer. So this layer is called the papillary layer of the dermis. It's composed of loose areolar connective tissue. Okay, so it's not that tightly packed. Okay, it's got blood vessels, it's got, you know, all some collagen fibers, but it's not really densely packed. And that's because we will have phagocytes that will patrol this layer of the dermis as well, looking for foreign particles. It gives them a nice kind of loose area for them to travel through easily. Also located in this papillary layer are more mechanoreceptors, like touch receptors and pressure receptors that allow us to feel, or gives our sense of touch. You'll notice that the border between the epidermis and the papillary layer of the dermis is wavy, okay? Now, those wavy ridges, they have a name. That's called a dermal papilla. All right, so dermal papilla, plural is papillae. And those house touch receptors, and really that's what gives the stratum basale that wavy shape to it. Now, if these dermal papillae are really large, you know, in certain areas of our body, they're really large mounds, those are called dermal ridges. Right? We have dermal ridges like in our fingertips. That's what gives us the appearance of lines and waves in our skin, in our palms and fingertips, because this the papillary layer has mounds that are so large that it actually influences the shape of the surface of the epidermis. Okay. Deep to the papillary layer is the reticular layer. This is thicker. This is about 80% of the thickness of the dermis, and this is composed of dense, irregular connective tissue. So it's really tightly packed, full of collagen fibers that are mostly going in the same direction, but not entirely. It's not as orderly as you would say, I don't know, a tendon or a ligament. The collagen fibers aren't as orderly as what you would find there, but they're still in pretty good order, and they run pretty much parallel to the direction that the skin kind of runs, all these collagen fibers. Now, if you think about it, this is what gives skin its toughness. If you're wearing leather shoes, that leather is the skin of a cow, it's the skin of a mammal, and that toughness of the leather, you're looking at that dermis, right? The dermis, that dense irregular connective tissue, all those collagen fibers, that's what makes that leather so tough. Gives you a substance, a material that you can make shoes out of, put it on your feet for protection. So that's what makes the skin so tough. And again, both of these layers of connective